Welcome to another edition of the Saturday Show with Cody Goggin. I'm excited to be talking to you today about one of the greatest films ever made and about an album by one of the most legendary voices in music. We'll get things started with our movie today, and it's the one and only Casablanca. Casablanca is a 1942 film that had been written based on an unproduced stage play called Everybody Goes to Rick's. It was directed by Michael Curtiz, starring one of Hollywood's biggest Golden Age stars, Humphrey Bogart, opposite Ingrid Bergman, and other actors such as Peter Lorre, Claude Rains, Conrad Veidt, and Sidney Greenstreet. Although featuring a slew of A-list talents, the film was expected to be a typical run-of-the-mill film for the studio. Indeed, it was a solid but not outstanding success in its initial release. Its legendary status would come with time. Over the decades that followed, it became one of the most influential and talked about films of all time. Some even call it the very best. The famous line, "Here's looking at you, kid," has been repeated in pop culture for decades and did not even originally appear in the script. It was an ad-lib, first spoken by the movie's star while teaching his co-star, Bergman, to play poker between takes. It's there that we come to our highlighted player of the week. Humphrey DeForest Bogart was born on Christmas Day in 1899. His father was a surgeon, and his mother was an artist, an illustrator. She once drew a picture of baby Humphrey for an advertisement that she designed. Bogart was in the Navy, and from every account was a model sailor. He enlisted at the young age of just 18. He began appearing in plays during the early 1920s and found he enjoyed the late hours and attention that he received. His first marriage ended in divorce, as his ex-wife stated that he enjoyed his career over personal relationships. He signed his first contract in Hollywood for $750 a week. His nickname, Bogey, was given to him by actor and friend Spencer Tracy. After appearing in the stage version of The Petrified Forest, his co-star, Leslie Howard, insisted to the studio that Bogart appear in the film version as well. Against the studio's wishes, they agreed. It would be Bogart's first big break. The role he played of Duke Mantee would give Bogart a new identity on screen as the gangster, the criminal, the tough guy. He would come to embody characters such as these in films such as High Sierra, Angels with Dirty Faces, and even appeared in slightly different films such as the sci-fi movie The Return of Dr. X. He played a detective in The Maltese Falcon, and it too would play into Bogart's on-screen persona. Casablanca would follow. In the movie To Have and Have Not, he would meet Lauren Bacall, and they would begin an iconic affair together that would eventually lead to marriage. They would appear in several more films together, such as The Big Sleep and Key Largo. Bogart played a somewhat different character in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Around this time, he was one of many in Hollywood who began being accused of being a part of the Communist Party. Bogart denied this vehemently, although his political leanings were pretty liberal for the time period. He won his only Academy Award for Best Actor for his part in The African Queen, which he played opposite Katharine Hepburn in 1951. He was nominated again, but did not win for his complex performance in The Caine Mutiny. By the time he appeared in Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn, Bogart's drinking and hard lifestyle and smoking had began to take a toll on his health. His final film would be The Harder They Fall, and just 20 days after his 57th birthday, he passed away after a difficult battle with cancer of the esophagus, leaving behind his beloved wife, Lauren Bacall. But Humphrey Bogart left behind a legacy that is essentially unmatched by any other Hollywood star. He bucked trends publicly and spoke out against other celebrities who he found phony. He was an original founding member of what became known as the Rat Pack, featuring Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. His films are forever quoted and remembered as some of the finest Hollywood ever produced. Here's looking at Bogart, a true legend. Back to Casablanca, the movie featured cinematography by Arthur Edison, who had worked on Frankenstein, and the music was composed by Max Steiner, who had worked on King Kong and Gone with the Wind. But the song that became most associated with the films is As Time Goes By. Contrary to what is popularly quoted, no one in the film says the line, "Play it again, Sam." The film went on to grow in popularity with each passing decade, and is remembered fondly by all as a beautiful and perfectly crafted work. It's Casablanca, and it stands the test of time. Today on our Album of the Week, we are looking at an album recorded by Frank Sinatra in 1968. The record is titled Cycles. Sinatra was in an odd period during the making of this record, and just a few years later would even be considering retirement. He found himself singing songs by young folk artists in an effort to stay relevant to an audience that was getting younger while he was getting older. This album would break the longest period in which Sinatra didn't release a new record while working for Reprise Records. But Cycles is proof that Sinatra's golden throat was still fully intact, as it would be for years to come. The entire album was recorded in just 3 hours, and during the session, Sinatra was visited by people such as George Harrison from the Beatles and Tiny Tim, featuring songs such as Gentle on My Mind, Wandering, Moody River, Rain in My Heart, and From Both Sides Now, which was written by Joni Mitchell. The album was released to modest sales and mediocre reviews, but I find it to be one of the very best Sinatra ever recorded. The songs seem to flow together perfectly and carry a rich, somber atmosphere that fits very well with Frank's amazing tone and delivery. If you haven't heard Cycles, I definitely recommend you give it a try. It's one of my favorite Sinatra records. Mountain air and cool clear water, I'll be there. Got everything I want in mountain air and cool clear water. Got everything I want, everything I need. You come calling, that's where you'll find me in mountain air and cool clear water, not a care. Everything we want in mountain air, cool clear water, got everything I want, everything I need. If you come calling, that's where you'll find me in mountain air, cool clear water, I'll be there. Got everything I want in mountain air, cool clear water, got everything I want, everything I need.